Verse number 7. Beautiful verse. Beautiful, beautiful verse. Karpanya doshopahata svabhava Prichhami tvam dharma sammudacheta Yachreyasya nishchitam bruhi tanme Shishyaste ham shadimam tvam prapannam. Who'll read? Raj.
With my very being smitten by the vice of faint-heartedness and my mind puzzled with regard to duty, I beseech you, tell me that which is the decidedly good. I am your disciple. Pray, instruct me, who have taken refuge in me.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Karpanya dosha. Dosh means flaw. Karpanya could mean, as they said, faint-heartedness. It could mean cowardliness. But here, actually, it means miserliness. And I will explain why miserliness. Pahata, besieged. Smitten, besieged, overcome. Swabhava, nature. So my cowardliness or my miserliness, my mistake of miserliness, my flaw of miserliness has taken over my nature, besieged my nature. Prichhami, I am asking tvam to you. Dharma, what is my dharma? I am asking you, what is my dharma? And why I am asking? Because sammudha, confused. I am confused, cheta, in my heart. My heart is confused. Moodha, you know, mood, completely dull. Yet, what Shreya is best. Syat, maybe. What may be the best? Nishchitam, definitely. What would definitely be the best? Bruhi tanme, tell that to me. Tell that to me, which will be the best for me. Shishyasteham. Why? Because I am your disciple. Shadimam, please instruct me. Tvam prapannam, I surrender to you. In this verse, there is the transition of Arjun's condition. Until now, he was like a madman, ranting and raving, all nonsensical things. Now, he has suddenly realized something. What has he realized? He has realized the root of his problem. I am confused. I can't understand what to do.
So you move from justification to
Acceptance.
To acceptance. To acceptance. So he realized his condition. Okay, I am confused. I am overcome by attachment. I am overcome by moha. Then the minute you realize your condition, the solution to the problem has started. So you have to understand your problem. You have to accept that you have a problem. And you have to also accept that you don't know what to do with the problem. All three things. Yeah. First is you have to realize what is your problem. Most of us, what do? We bury the problem under the carpet. Instead of realizing कुछ problem है, forget it, I don't want to. Like some people never want to go and take blood test. I don't want to know. कुछ निकलेगा तो? What do you say? We don't want to realize what is the problem. Better not to know only. I was much better, off when I didn't know I have cancer. Now I have cancer. Arey Baba, if you didn't know, you would have died earlier. Now there is a chance you might live also. Okay? So realize one's problem instead of burying it under the carpet. Second, you have to understand. So to understand, you have to pause. To understand, you have to reflect on the problem. And then when you have reflected on the problem, you might also resolve it. So you do your purusharth. To resolve, you understand, you think about it, you weigh the pros and cons, you use this buddhi which you have. Most of us, what do? We take victim ID. Kya karu? Mera naseeb hi aisa hai. You just don't try to understand it. You just accept the problem in a tamasic way. And third, after trying your best to resolve and it has not yet cleared, you accept the inability to resolve the problem. Instead of that, what do? We have the arrogance that I can do it all.
No, accept the inability and consult.
That will come. Once you accept, the consultation will come automatically. Some people are stuck for years and years and years, decades and decades and decades with a problem. All the time thinking, okay, even if they've understood it, even if they have realized it, they are still trying to resolve it by themselves. In that bargain, 10-20 years have gone of their life. Those 10-20 years could have been saved in improving yourself instead of going further and further down into that tamas. So 3 steps are there when you have a problem. First, realize you have a problem. Second, understand it. Pause, reflect. Try to solve it by yourself. 3, cannot solve. Realize you cannot solve and take guidance. So what was Arjun doing right now? He realized. First, he did step number 1. Realized. What did he realize? I have karpanya dosha. He realized the problem. Up till now, the problem was always the war. The problem was always the Kauravas. The problem was always the moha. Right now, he has realized the problem is my karpanya dosha. Karpanya dosha, he realizes that he has a Kshatriya swabhava. He is a Kshatriya by nature, has a Kshatriya personality, but it is being shadowed by Kripannata. Kripannata means miserliness. So what is miserliness? Who are misers?
Only hold.
They have, but they don't want to give.
Insecure.
They have. For being a miser, you have to first have. You cannot be a miser if you don't have. So first you have to have. A miser is those who have the capacity to spend. They have the capacity to use their money, but they choose instead to hoard it. So here, what money, what spend, why is it miserliness here? It is talking about wealth of intelligence, not wealth of money. He has the capacity to think. He has the knowledge. He has the wisdom, but he is not using it. So it's the miserliness of intellect.
He also has the valor and the ability to.
He has the valor, he has the courage, he has the ability, he has skills in dharmic people so many times. He has the capacity to win this war also. I am not going to fight. That is his miserliness, karpanya dosh. So miserliness can be at the level of wealth outside, and miserliness can also be level of mind and intellect. Here we are talking about mind and intellect. He is seeing things only at his personal level. He is not seeing how his action is impacting society or country or dharma. Only how am I feeling? How am I affected by this? So here there is a contrast between the potential and the use. And potential everybody in this room has. Everybody in this room has the potential of what? Aham Brahmasmi. All of you have that potential of being divinity. But how much of that potential are you using? That is what you have to see, and you have to revise your way of living. You have to revise your goal. And he says that I am confused about dharma. That thought of dharma has become mooda. Dharma samooda cheta. Because of my limited thinking, I am confused now. What is my dharma? Should it be about sun? Should it be about shishya? Should it be about kshatriya? I am completely confused. I don't know what is my duty. I don't know what action I should take. I don't know what is my dharma towards my family, towards my ancestors. And this confusion about dharma is what all of us face. Because we are continuously playing different roles, and people are uncertain about what is their dharma towards your family, what is your dharma towards your nation, what is your dharma towards your colleague. This is the main problem for us. Why we are struggling with happiness is because we are not clear about our role and about our dharma in that role. Now, if this is such a common problem, how come our Shastras have not given us a way to come out of it? Because Shastras give us solutions to each and every problem. They have. In the Vedas, it says 80% of the Vedas, all the Vedas if you put together, 80% of that information is about your dharma. 16% of the Vedas is about upasana. And only 4% is about Gyan. But who's got the time to read Vedas? Who has got time to read Upanishads? Who has got even inclination to do it? But if we were to do it, we would know what is our dharma and what is our duty. In Manusmriti, it is given very clearly how to come out of dharma sankat, how to resolve your dharma problems. There are 4 things you have to check. 1. What do the Vedas say? Vedas are also called Shruti. Then you have to see what the Smriti says. Smritis, Shruti and Smriti. You know the difference now?
Yes.
Shruti is the Vedas which have been revealed. There is no author to it. It's called Aparashya, unauthored. It is just come from meditation. And Smriti is through tradition. Somebody has written. So you have to see what the Shruti says. You have to see what the Smriti says. Third, you have to see what wise people have said. Gurus, sons. You have to see that. And then there's a 4th lakshan. Your own conscience. Your own inner peace. Your own inner joy. If all the 4 are aligned, then that is your dharma. Now in Ramayana, there is, everybody knows the story, that Dashrath had given what? Vow to Kaikeyi. And Kaikeyi encashes that vow at the time of Ram's coronation. And two vows he had given, taken from Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi had said, one, my son should be the king and Ram should go into Vanvas. A son's dharma is always to fulfill the father's promise. Also to fulfill all his debts, etc. Whatever the debts, promises of the father, the son's dharma is to fulfill that. So when the time came to encash this promise, Lord Ram easily, happily, unconditionally, without question, he said, I'm going into Vanvas. He did not, happily he went, because it is the son's dharma to do that. And now Bharat had to become the next king. Everybody told him that that is his dharma. According to Shruti also it is his dharma. According to Smriti also it's dharma. According to the gurus also, sage Vasishtha told, yes, you must do that. So 3 criteria were being met. But the 4th criteria was not being met. His conscience, his inner joy, his peace of mind was telling him, no, I cannot be the next ruler. Why? Because dharma is dictated by the identity that you give yourself. And in Bharat, he said, my identity is not the king of Ayodhya. My identity is not even the son of King Dashrath. My identity is Sevak of Bhagwan Ram. So I am a Sevak of Ram, so I will do what Ram tells me to do. And that is why he went into the forest to take the advice of Bhagwan Ram. What should I do? And he obeyed Lord Ram. Whatever Lord Ram said, he did. So, when you are faced with a dilemma, when you are faced with a dharma sankat, what should I do? You have to have all 4 in alignment. Shruti, Smriti, Guru, and your own conscience. And your own conscience will dictate your dharma according to your what identity you have given yourself. Therefore, you should be very clear about what is the identity that you have in this particular situation.
There is one more challenge with the 4 checks.
Yeah,
Bharat had reached a stage where he had surrendered to Bhagwan.
correct.
Until that purification happens,
Suffer.
we are not in touch with our conscience.
Of course, so you go on suffering,
we
na?
have the ego masquerading as our conscience
Exactly.
and keeping on saying, and then we say, okay, whatever they might say, good mind.
My conscience is saying, but about your conscience, God knows with what layers and layers of dirt it is saying that.
So therefore, till you get to that point, you rely on first 3 checks.
No, you rely on the master to guide you.
Only third one. Only third.
Only the third.
Because the
Because the third is going through all 4.
Yes. You can't interpret it.
You can't interpret with a unclean mind. Go to one who can. That is what Arjun has done. That is what Arjun has
For us,
done.
only one line. Forget the other 3.
Arjun has also studied Vedas. Arjun has also studied Smritis. He has got approval of Bhishma and Drona and everybody else. But his inner conscience is not in alignment with all these dharmas. So what to do in such a situation? Prichhami tvam. I beseech you, surrender. Tell me what is Shreya for me to do. What is my highest thing to do? I'm confused. I'm disturbed. I don't know what to do. I cannot reach the right decision. Tell me, approach a person of higher intellect, and as a true disciple, ask what is the best course of action for me in this. And in Bhagavad Gita, this is like a chorus. Shreya and Priya. Again and again and again and again. Shreya is what is the best thing for me to do. Priya is what I love to do. So, always it will not be the same. In fact, rarely will it be the same. I want to do this, but it is not in my highest interest to do it. And this continuously will come many, many times in Bhagavad Gita. This is the first time it has come, Shreya and Priya. Most of the times, like Arjun, we also go and ask the Guru, what should we do? What is the best thing for me to do? Guru will not tell you what is Priya. Only Shreya. But you don't like that. So you continue to do Priya. Then again after a few months, same problem. Again the same, like a broken record. Guru will tell you this is what you should do. But you don't like to do it. Then what to do? Keep doing Priya. Keep doing. So there was one Shishya, not Shishya, let's call him one seeker. He went to one Guru and he said all his problems, so many 100 problems he had. Then the Guru gave so many solutions. Do this, for this problem do this, for this problem do this, for this problem do this. 100 problems, 100 solutions. At the end the Guru said, do you have any more questions? He said, yeah, can you recommend any other Guru? You just want to vent the problem. You don't want to do the solution, But Arjun is fortunately not like that. He says, Shishyasteham. I am your Shishya. I am your disciple. So the first time Arjun is identifying himself as a Shishya. Up till now he has played the role of Sakha, he has played the role of friend, he has played the role of relative. The first time he is seeing himself Shishya. The minute you give the role of Shishya, the dharma of Shishya applies to you. Because dharma is applied to the role, identity. So you see yourself as a Shishya, then only you can surrender. Until then, you cannot surrender. So he surrenders to Bhagwan and puts himself in the role of a Shishya. So what is the Shishya's role? What is a disciple's role?
To listen to them.
Correct. What is so? Who is a disciple? The one who follows discipline. Disciple is the one who follows discipline. Discipline means jo updesh mila, wo karo. Finished. That is Shishya. Got this? Do it. Whether it is Priya or not Priya, it is Shreya. You have to do. Arjun does the dharma of a Shishya. Whatever Bhagwan says, he does. That is why he is a true Shishya. People call themselves Shishya, but they don't want to have the discipline of following the Updesh. And he becomes a disciple for only one reason. Guide me, teach me, Shadi Mam, teach me. Mam Tvam Prapannam, I surrender to you. Why is Arjun surrendering? Because he wants to be guided. Because he wants to learn. And why is he successful? Because he's unconditionally surrendered. Unconditionally surrendered. If he'll ask questions, he asks many questions. It's not that when you surrender, you cannot ask questions. You should ask. Because chapter 2, entire Bhagavad Gita is in chapter 2. There need not have been any more chapters. But it was too much for Arjun to absorb and understand. So he asks a question at the end of chapter 2. So again, some explanation. Then again he asks. Then again. So he asks the questions, which is the most important thing for a Shishya to do. Because you have to clear your doubt. But you ask to learn, not ask to judge what the teacher knows. You ask to clear your doubts. And if you don't understand, then Arjun did not say, hey, Krishna, what nonsense you're talking. It cannot be like that. He doesn't say that. If he didn't understand, he says, my buddhi is not mature enough to understand it now. Please explain it again. It comes in the later chapter. He says, my buddhi cannot understand it. So please, can you explain it again? That is why Arjun has been successful. Okay? And this surrender thing, almost, this time we will definitely mark how many times Bhagavan Krishna says, you don't have to do anything. You don't need to do any sadhana. You don't need to do anything. Just have full surrender in me. Come into my Sharanam fully. That is all you need. When that happens, automatically he will follow the Upadesh. So what is the importance of dharma? What is the need to follow dharma? What does dharma do to you? Why should we? Because so much importance is given to dharma. Huh? You don't incur more karma, and what happens to the earlier karma? So it is dharma. By following dharma, you become pure. Dharma makes you pure. It makes you do action without incurring more karma. And only when you'll become completely pure, then you can think of becoming free. But we are putting moksha as our goal before trying to make ourselves completely pure. So that should be the first step. First, Shuddhi. And after Shuddhi, what? Mukti. So why is it important to surrender to the Guru? What is surrender actually?
To make yourself empty to receive this.
Okay.
Acceptance.
So, correct. To make yourself empty so you can receive. So, by making yourself empty, something is happening by which you can receive. So, empty, receive, there's one step in the middle. Connect. Give in another word. Huh? Faith. Connect. Fine tuning. You have to fine tune. Same frequency. You have to be on the same page as the Guru. So there is a fine tuning which happens between the student and the teacher. See, musicians, when they play in a group, in a band, if they have not all tuned their instruments to the same note, there will be cacophony. It will not at all be harmonious. Somebody will be playing in sa, and somebody will be playing in pa, and somebody will be playing in ga. So all have to tune, and when they tune, they all tune their instruments to sa. Right?
Yes.
Nothing.
And so many times, even while performing,
You have to again retune. Correct? And the singer also has to tune to the same. Means all have to be on the same note. Surrendering is exactly that. You are tuning yourself with the Guru. So we do one prayer here before we start our class. What was that? Sahana bhavatu. Say. Sahana bhavatu. Sahana bhunaktu. Sahaviryam karva विद्विषावहे तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहे Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. What does it mean? It means that before we start our class, may God protect us both. Who both? Shishya and Guru. Sahana Bhavatu. May God protect us both. Sahana Bhunatu. May God nourish us both. Nourish with buddhi. Sahaviryam karvahavahe. May we work together, but not lazily. May we work together with energy and vigor. Tejasvina vadhitamastu. May our study be enlightening. What a beautiful prayer it is. Ma vidvishavahe, and may it not give rise to hostility, because it can. I am going to say Shreya to you. You want me to say Priya. Outside you're smiling, but inside you're saying nonsense. Who knows? Sometimes I know. So this prayer is hoping that nonsense thing doesn't happen. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. 3 times Shanti. Why? Adi Daivik Shanti, Adi Bhautik Shanti, Adhyatmik Shanti. While the class is going on, may we not be disturbed, or may sorrow not be caused by Adi Daivik, hand of God, act of God. Means during this class, make sure there is no earthquake, no tornado, that this class has to stop in the middle. Adi Daivik. Adi Bhautik, worldly problems. घर से फोन आया, बाई नहीं आई है आज, खाना नहीं पकाया है, then you have to leave the class and go. Adi Bhautik. And Adhyatmik, from your own inner mind, the thoughts should not come, Guru is talking crap, or alasya, or any kind of hostility. Adhyatmik. So, surrender means teacher and student are completely one. They are one entity, and that oneness is coming out of love and trust.